Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. We're getting a mixed batch of weather here today. We're getting nice sunny weather. It's not that hot. And then all of a sudden we got like a downpour of rain, and then now it's back to being sunny again. It's like so yeah, they were saying they were supposed to get thunderstorms today, but I don't think we have had any yet. So but maybe later on we might. So yeah, it's just the humidity is higher right now than it's been, so that's why we're getting rain. But we haven't got the extreme heat to go with it, so it's been tolerable to say the least. But yeah, that's what's going on around here. Oh, Shania Twain here had a concert here a couple days ago. I think it was Tuesday. Probably could hear that all the way up the river. People in Eddington were saying they could hear it. That's how loud it was. So all this soundproofing and everything that they've done, you know, over the years around that concert area, there's no way you're going to stop that. You know, it's it was a bad spot. Everybody, I think, in Bangor agrees that the concert area is up in a bad spot because the riverfront is home to a lot of businesses and residents, you know, apartments and stuff, and it was just not the right place to build something like that. And you know, it's every time they have a concert, you know, people complain it's too loud, and I don't know what it's like to living over there on that side. I mean, but I can hear it, you know, when they have a concert. I mean, it's not like right on the window, but because I live along the river, I can hear it, you know. And you know, I'm not a concert goer. I think I've explained in another video that concerts are like listening to teenagers across the street playing their guitars and shit. It all sounds so crappy, you know, because it's live and it's not edited and, you know, and done in a studio like a lot of music we hear on the radio. It's just live, and you can't make an account for the acoustics, you know, wherever you're at. It's going to sound different, you know. So I don't know why people go through the, you know, trouble of spending so much goddamn money go into these things. I mean, yeah, it's something to do, but it's a lot of money, and that's been a point of contention for a lot of people. Is the ticket prices for these events is high, you know, and it's like, you know, they really don't need to be that high. Okay, people can afford to go with the high prices, but I think it'd be better if it was just a little lower, you know. And I don't know why they expect people to pay through the nose for, you know, a one night thing. So I don't know. Anyway, I ramble. So I got an update here on the Trump, Maxwell, Epstein bullshit there that's going on here, and it's a video from the iHip Girls. So let's go to the video here and we'll discuss that on the other side.
Very important developments in the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition and the Epstein files, and no one better than Representative Robert Garcia, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, who issued subpoenas, who is on the team that issued the subpoenas for both Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition and the evidence. Please welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
I'm so happy you're here because my biggest concern and question is no one has a bigger reason to lie than Ghislaine Maxwell. And now her team is already coming out and saying, oh, we had a very productive meeting with the Justice Department. I'm sure you did. You have something he wants. He has something you want. Everybody wins. So how do we ensure her credibility?
So this is why the actual subpoena of the Epstein files is so important. Anything that Ghislaine Maxwell actually says, we have to know that she is saying such possibly because she wants a pardon, she wants to reduce her sentence, and she's going to do whatever she can while protecting Donald Trump to get her sentence reduced. So that is a fact. We also know, by the way, that this is a bad person. She was involved in sex trafficking of children. She is a liar. So let's be really clear about who she is, right? And so that should concern, this DOJ meeting should concern us. But when we have our deposition with her, the Oversight Committee, in August, about August 11th, looking like the date, when we actually get to interview her as Oversight Democrats and Republicans, we will need to then look at what she says, at what she talks about, and then match that with evidence in the files, on the videos, and in the documents. And so we're not going to take what she says on her own. It's got to be corroborated with actual evidence that we actually find in the Epstein files, which is why that subpoena of the document is so important to actually her credibility. Because we just cannot believe or take her word just because she says so. It's got to be matched with actual evidence.
I completely agree. And that's why I was so excited that you were able to get that done. Let me ask you a question about the evidence. I saw the letter that you sent to James Comer. Now he is going to issue the subpoena. Does he have a time limit on when he has to issue that subpoena?
I mean, look, it needs to be expeditiously. I think the subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell happened within a couple of days of the actual vote that we took in the Oversight Committee. And so we would expect that in the next few days, week or so, he should issue the subpoena. Now, he's already committed to issuing the subpoena. He has said it publicly. He has told news outlets he's going to issue the subpoena. And so that was step one, is getting him to actually do it, which is good. We've told him and said, hey, look, if you're going to actually issue the subpoena, let's put a time limit on it. So we think that 30 days is an appropriate amount of time for the DOJ to collect the documents unredacted and give over the full files, videos, documents, whatever the hell that they have, over to the Oversight Committee so that we have a chance to actually review all the documents. And of course, it's our intention. We want to be able to make all this information public, of course. And so there's going to be a process to get that done. But that's what's really important to us. It's really the Democrats on the committee. And so very good steps toward transparency in the last few days. And honestly, because we fought so hard to get it done.
Absolutely. What happens if they don't comply, if the Justice Department does not bring forward all of the files?
Well, look, that's an unacceptable answer for us, because subpoenas to the DOJ, which has career lawyers and people that do this every day, would be an incredibly dangerous moment for the country and the Constitution. And so I don't put anything past Donald Trump, by the way. But of course, we'd have to elevate that in a way through the courts that it'd be quite dangerous, quite frankly, and precedent setting for the administration. But we think there are enough career people over there, and Pam Bondi, at the end of the day, as a lawyer, they have to respond to the subpoena. And so that is our expectation, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they do so. And if they don't, once again, what is Donald Trump hiding? What is he so scared of that's in a video or in a document that he won't release it to the American public? We know he's in there. Let's find out why.
Right. I can't help but think it's got to be something video, because he could lie his way out of words. But that's just my personal opinion. Now, I've seen Brad Edwards, who is an attorney for 200 of the Epstein victims, and he is corroborating the Wall Street Journal report on the 50th birthday. And then Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, has said, he would give everything in due course. If he was asked, he would respond. Can you take what DOJ gives you and then ensure by talking with those participants that you have all the evidence? Because here's the deal. I don't trust Pam Bondi as far as I can pick her up and throw her. Certainly don't trust Todd Blanche. So is there a way to move from outside sources to verify that the DOJ gives you everything?
Yes. And in fact, for example, I was just communicating our team with Ro Khanna and his team today, who's working exactly on actually a piece of this. He's also trying to get information and has received some information about documents and notes and letters from a other attorneys, other folks that have Epstein documents. And so we know that there are some documents that are in private hands, and then, of course, an enormous amount that is at the DOJ. And some of that may overlap, of course, but we're going to go to every avenue, and we're going to work with some other lawyers and, of course, those that have been victimized and trafficked, and which is horrific, of course, what's happened to these young kids and women. And so all of that is on the table for us. And the public can rest assured that we're not going to rest until we get those damn files. I'm tired of Republicans being the only ones that are pushing, I'll do whatever I can to get what they want. This oversight committee is made up of fighters who are going to get to the truth.
I love hearing that, because that's what we need in this moment. And you mentioned the victims. That's who I am so sad for. It's like they're re-traumatized all over again, with Donald Trump calling it a hoax, Ghislaine Maxwell now as the belle of the ball for the Trump DOJ. Have you heard from victims about how they're feeling regarding this process right now?
So I haven't directly spoken to victims, and I obviously am very sensitive to privacy and some of what's happening there. But there are conversations, of course, with representatives and lawyers from different parties that are happening right now. Our committee is made up of some incredible, not just members, but also some incredible lawyers and researchers and people that care about the truth and accountability that are all working on this right now. And so we're going to get to the bottom of what Donald Trump knows and what this cover-up is. And these Republicans that didn't vote with us, by the way, they split. We got 3 of them to come over and vote for us on this committee. Others voted no. And we know there's a lot of them in the Congress that don't want to release these files because they want to bend the knee to Donald Trump. They are now complicit in whatever this cover-up is, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
When do you expect, after you receive the evidence, you depose Ghislaine Maxwell, what do you foresee the timeline is for the public to view this information? I know it has to be redacted because of victims. Do you have to take another vote by the House to release the information, or once you have it and it's redacted, you can do that?
So we haven't actually set up the procedure for that piece of it yet. But just know that it's our intention to get the actual documents. Once we protect the victims and we're able to actually protect their identity, we want to get that out to the American public. And so it needs to be open, and people need to be able to see for themselves. They're not going to believe anything unless they're able to see it. And there is a ton of video, from what I understand, in these documents and in these Epstein files. So let's see the video. Let's protect the victims. But if I've told people this, I don't care if you are a billionaire, a politician, a powerful person, if you were involved in some way in this sex trafficking ring, if you were involved in hurting young kids or young women, I don't care who you are, what your political party is, you should be held accountable. And that's, I think, what we're committed to in this process.
Can you then, after DOJ has already said we're shutting down the investigation, can your committee recommend to the DOJ charges or no?
Well, look, obviously, as you know, I also can't trust and don't trust Pam Bondi. But I think that we have a lot of options in front of us once we get a hold of these files, including if there is information in there that can lead to the conviction or holding other folks accountable for what they've done. I think we have a responsibility to look at that and to get other folks involved in that process. And so we have to center the crimes and most importantly, those that have been victimized by these crimes as part of why we are so committed to releasing these files.
One more question that I know you have to run. If the DOJ, when they give you all these files and you make these recommendations, can they take you to court to stop disseminating them publicly?
Look, I think the DOJ, they can try to do whatever they want. They're going to try all sorts of things because they don't really follow the law, and they've got some of these courts they have on their side. But the subpoena process is pretty clear. I mean, in statute and law, it's very clear. The Congress, we have the constitutional right to be a check and balance on the executive, and we can put out subpoenas for information, for documents, for people. If we issue a subpoena, and by the way, this is the important thing, it was bipartisan. We have a bipartisan subpoena, Republicans and Democrats. The DOJ has to respond. And there's nothing they can do to stop that release. And so that's what I think the American public needs to know. And I think these next few weeks are going to be very interesting. We may be able to get our hands on these documents before even Congress comes back from this recess, which would be really, really important. And we're going to try to do. And of course, we want to get these documents so that we have the information in front of us. So when Ms. Maxwell does her deposition, and I'll be there, by the way, I'm going to be at that damn deposition, and we're not going to allow the Republicans alone to just be in that room asking questions. We're going to ask questions as well. We're going to get that information and ensure that the truth comes out.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations. What a service you are doing. You've taken over the Oversight Committee, and it's been a game change. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Oh boy, I'm glad I ain't in his shoes. I mean, he's really been trying like crazy to get people to stop thinking about this. But hey, when you got even the Republicans pushing for it, they want to see this files and stuff. I mean, how are you gonna distract? You can't. The Republicans are trying to come across as being fair about it, saying, just release it so we can get on with our business, but releasing it is getting on with our business. That is the business of our country, to hold our officials accountable for the things they do wrong, right? Just because we got to deal with other things, that continually pile up, doesn't mean that this is any less significant than anything else. I mean, we cannot really do the other jobs that they want us to do if we got a leader who's corrupt. So what do you think is more important, really? If we got a guy who's president, who's a criminal, okay, which he is, he's a criminal, he's a rapist. Well, if we got a guy in the White House who's already a criminal and he's hiding more crimes, like I said, you open up that closet that he has and there's going to be all kinds of skeletons here. That right there in itself says we're not going to focus on anything that matters to the American people. We're going to put this guy in office, so all we focus on is this guy for the next 4 years. I mean, that's one of the reasons why people didn't want Trump in there as president in the first place, because we knew he'd hog all the fucking attention. The wages, the inflation, the joblessness, the homelessness, all these things that are on our table right now that needs to be dealt with won't get dealt with because that son of a bitch is a criminal, and we want to get him out, and so it's going to draw us into that fucking black hole. We can't ignore it, because with him, nothing is going to get done. He hasn't done a damn thing since he became president. In 7 months, I guess, 7 months. All those promises he made, he ain't made one. He hasn't come through for one. Not one. Except maybe the deportations, but that was something that people thought would be something different, but it wasn't. So, like I said, he hasn't fulfilled any obligation that MAGA put him in office for. And that's pissed them off. After all this time, he's had plenty of time to do something, at least 2 things that he promised he could do. Okay, but he hasn't done that. The 90 days, 90 deals thing, that he hasn't even made one yet. He's going around saying, oh, I've done this, I've done that. There's no evidence of it. Okay, he's just shooting his mouth off. But, like I said, he's a criminal. And as a criminal, and he goes around lying and avoiding, trying to tell people not to look at things that he's done wrong, hey, that's only going to draw more attention to it. And so, in order for us to get back to the job of doing this country right, the way Joe Biden was, you got to get rid of the fucking head and put a new head in its place. Okay? When you get rid of the poison on the tree, when you get rid of that, okay, then we have a better chance of actually focusing on things that matter to the rest of us. Because right now, it's all about him. And people are getting tired of it. You can see the poll numbers. It's across the country. He keeps slipping down further in the fucking approval rating. I mean, come on. When people are that pissed off at him, you're gonna either shit or get off the pot. And what I mean is, you either get rid of this fucking guy, or you shut up completely about Epstein altogether. But like I said, he hasn't done anything as president yet since he's been in office to give MAGA or anybody a reason to say, oh, you're preventing him from doing his job. What job? He ain't been doing a job at all. Christ. You know, this Epstein thing, it might have seemed to the MAGA that it hit him out of the blue, but the fact is, what was he doing before this thing come out? Nothing. He was just fucking everybody's life up. That's not what we put him in there for. Okay? I'm sorry if MAGA doesn't believe that, or they think that's bullshit, but he hasn't done anything that they voted him in there for. So what are we preventing him from doing here by focusing on his crimes and his association with criminals? What are we really, bitching about here? Because he hasn't done anything. We're not losing anything. Okay? And I don't think that anything is ever going to get done as long as he's still in the White House. So if MAGA really wants to see their things that they wanted to see done, then get rid of him. Push to have him out. Put Vance in there or whoever, okay? I don't care who. Put somebody else, anybody else in there. But get him out so that way the limelight isn't shining so fucking heavy on just him and his goddamn bullshit, because he's keeping the country from getting anything done. As long as he's there, MAGA in the Congress and all them, they're going to stay loyal to him. They're going to keep defending him, which means they're not doing their job. Because everything they're doing is to try to protect him instead of actually taking votes to get this passed, taking votes. They're not doing anything, good or bad. They're just protecting him. So he's drawing all the energy, the focus away from taking care of the American people. He passes a goddamn bill, slashes Medicare, slashes Social Security, slashes veterans benefits, okay? None of that was anything that anybody wanted, okay? There's no waste and fraud in those systems. We all know this, all right? There isn't any. But and this shit now, he's given up on Hamas. I read a headline today. He says, there's no way you're going to be able to get Hamas. He's given up on that. Okay, he said he was going to stop all that shit over. No, he didn't. He's given up on it. Okay, so he ain't doing anything anyway. Might as well go after him for this stuff, this unfinished business with him that he's been ducking for years now. It's got to come out. It's got to come out. He wanted to be president, so it's going to happen while he's president. If he wasn't president, it might have, been a focus for later, but I don't think anybody would have cared as much. But because he is the president, he embarrasses the whole country with everything. So that makes it important. We don't want our country to look like we're being run by a bunch of criminals, okay? And we don't, especially criminals, sexual perverts or something like that. We don't want the rest of the world to look at us as so corrupt that, we elect pedophiles and sexual deviants. Usually that's when we find out someone is, we get rid of them, right? In the past, okay, people who've done stuff that, we don't like, even if it's just running around on your wife or something, when it gets out, that person usually resigns or whatever, or they force them out, okay? Things that aren't even as bad as what Trump is involved in, okay? So, if Republicans want to be consistent in following through with the, with going after people like that, then they have to go after him. They got to go after Trump. And, it would be good for them to get rid of him anyway, because, look, if they're so afraid of this guy, then that means, if taking him out, getting rid of him, would make their lives easier. They wouldn't have to live in fear that, if I say something, Trump's going to do something. Get rid of the guy. If he's really that uncooperative and uncivil, then you don't need him. You don't. Okay? He's just in there for himself, number one. That's it. With that attitude, nobody in America is going to ever see anything change or get improved. In his mind, if I'm the president, America's great. Well, no, it ain't. Because all you bring to the table is just a pile of shit. Okay? That's what you bring. If you think shit is great, okay, fine. But we know you're just being ridiculous when you try to convince us that, it's America's only going to be great while he's the president. I don't think anybody in this country right now feels like we're great right now. In fact, I've read a lot of fucking commentary and stuff online from different articles, and the attitude against this country from Americans is so high. People are ashamed of being thought of as an American. They're actually siding with the Canadians who are mad as hell at us, and they're saying we're never coming to the United States again. And you got Americans saying that's great because we got to do so. You know what I'm saying? They're actually encouraging the Canadians not to come down here, not to do anything, because, you know, if we understand from their standpoint, from the Canadian standpoint, why they're protesting, why they're, you know, not buying anything American, we understand that and we agree with them. So when you got Americans siding against America, you know, Jesus Christ. That's pretty bad. That reflects a lot about the numbers you're seeing, you know, approval ratings and stuff. America is really chewing itself apart. Okay, MAGA too. MAGA is cracking at the seams. Okay, they really are, because they're being asked to swallow. I know they're being asked to swallow some bitter pills in order to feel like they're doing the right thing, but it's not working. I see them feeling around for what might stick to the wall to defend him with, and it's not working there either. Because nobody wants to defend someone who's been mixed up with a pedophile in a sex ring with underage girls. Okay, nobody feels comfortable defending a man that we know was hung around with a guy who's done that for a long time. He did. Okay, nobody wants to really go out, put their necks out on a limb, you know, for this guy, and I can't blame them. I mean, look how they Bill Cosby. I keep bringing up Bill Cosby, but I mean, look how, I mean, this was a guy who was so popular until all these women started coming forward and saying, "Oh, he did this, he did that," and you know, and nobody wanted to defend him. Basically, I mean, some did, but not very many. But so I know we have a problem with folks like that in this country. We just don't want to be tied to them, and this is one of the reasons why this thing with Epstein is not going to go away, is because this country hates fucking pedophilia. Okay, and even though it's rampant in this country, you know, when you watch the news or something crazy, you see female teachers raping their students and shit like that every day practically, it seems. Okay, I know I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it seems very often. The reaction from the public is always, you know, hateful and, you know, hang her by the highest tree, you know, shit like that. Okay, so when it happens that your president is possibly done stuff like that, okay, what do you think's going to happen? I mean, people, you know, if they supported him, they're going to feel like this big, you know. They're not going to say to people they voted for him. In fact, I bet a lot of them have said, "Oh, I voted against him," you know, just to cover their ass. There's only one person that I know who still wears proudly their MAGA hat, and that's my girlfriend's mother. She came down here yesterday. I can't remember what the hell for. I think it was a doctor appointment or something. She had that goddamn MAGA hat on her head. It's got buttons on it that's MAGA things. And I'm thinking, you know, I don't even see as many vehicles anymore with the Trump bumper stickers on it. I think people have been peeling those fucking things off, because there used to be a lot of them. You drive behind anybody around here and it was Trump bumper stickers, but now all of a sudden they're gone. They don't seem to be that many around. And there was a house going towards Eddington. Their front yard was full of Trump. They had like a fucking 5-foot poster of Trump's cardboard thing in their yard. All that stuff is gone. All of it. They decorated it looked like a theme park for Trump. That was last year. I think I might have said something about that. But all that stuff is gone now. People that live up here in town, they had pro-Trump signs and stuff, and they were still on the ground after the election. No, that's all gone. So people are really reevaluating, you know, how much they want to invest in this guy, because now they're being asked to defend a possible pedophile. And if they do that, that makes them accomplices after the fact of protecting one. And we have people are going to have the right to call MAGA a pro-pedophile party if this is, you know, the direction they want to take it. In fact, I think what's going to happen with MAGA is going to be, it's going to die, basically. It's going to be so tainted because of Trump, from all his scandal and all his bullshit, that they're going to just dump the fucking MAGA label altogether and reinvent themselves under another name. First it was the Teabaggers or whatever, then it's MAGA. Now it's going to have to be something else, just to separate themselves from Trump. Okay, because right now the name MAGA doesn't look very good. It's going to go down in the dictionary as a adjective or something, you know, to say, oh, how stupid somebody is. You call them a MAGA. All right, so they're not going to want to attach their name to that. It's going to be as vile as the word Nazi is, I guess. But I see that happening very soon. But anybody who today who wants to is really interested in knowing what's going on, they're going to be push to get those files out there. Of course, you know, like was said, we can't trust everything Pam Bondi's going to say. We can't trust everything anybody else in this administration is going to say to the public. So when they do say something, we have to ask for proof to back up what their mouth is saying, because we've been lied to more than any president in history has ever lied to people. This man has lied constantly for the last 6 months. I mean, I don't know who's keeping count of the lies. I mean, somebody usually does, but I'm sure we're already over the 1,000 number already. So this guy has lied consistently. And I'm not concluding the campaign. I'm just saying right now, since he took the oath or whatever, from January to now, he's lied more than anything else. Like any president in history has ever lied in such a short period of time. Okay, so we have no reason or expectation to think that he's going to tell us the truth about anything. So why should we expect it? What we ought to do is, when he answers a question, we ought to say, okay, let's see the proof. Give me some paper, give me some numbers, show me what you're talking about. Because, the boy that cried wolf, eventually people are going to get tired of running to his rescue when he's always joking and laughing about it. Well, we can play the fool if you want, but it gets tiresome. Instead, it's time for us to teach him a lesson. Like, when you lie, Trump, we don't have to believe you anymore. We don't even have to listen. You can get the press covering you all you want, but they're not going to tune in and listen to what you say. So go, if you want to lie, continue, but it's not going to reach my ears, because I don't care what you're saying. And we already know, when you open your mouth, you're lying. My friend had said that to me here the other day. That, when his mouth is moving, he's lying. And that's true. That is the truth. I don't know if it's because he's incapable of telling the truth, if it's part of his mental degradation that makes him that way. I don't know. Maybe his whole life he's been a liar. I can imagine this guy's been in trouble for a lot of different things because he can't tell the truth. Yeah, I mean, this is what's going on, and I think that it's just that all the stuff tries to come to the light. But I know the Department of Justice and all them, they're all trying to minimize the damage of whatever the hell is out there to Trump. Okay, I know they are. If they're not trying to get rid of evidence, which of course is illegal, but if they're out there trying to get rid of it, I'm sure they are. Because like I said, Trump, he has everybody around him to do one thing, to follow his instructions. Okay, so if he's trying to dodge this bullet, he's going to have everybody around him facilitating that to keep him from getting really in deep trouble. So we have to continue to push for records and files and client lists or whatever the hell else. Maxwell, she might be cutting a sweetheart deal, and if that's the case, we can't really trust much about what she says if they put her under a deposition or something, or they start asking her questions, because if she's made a deal already, then she's not going to do anything to upset that boat to stay out of prison, but she is a criminal. Okay, we have to remember that she is a criminal, and it was proven in court. Whether you want to say that evidence was manufactured, that's up to you, but it was proven in court that she committed the crimes, and she was sent away for that. So she is a criminal, and it hasn't been removed from her record yet. Okay, a presidential pardon does not remove the crime if she gets one. Okay, it means the crime is there, but she doesn't have to go to answer for it because the president says she doesn't have to. But that's another argument. Okay, that's one criminal defending another criminal. Okay, but like I said, she's a criminal, and so we don't have any reason to believe that she's going to come out and tell us everything or say anything about Trump. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Stephen Miller designed it. Donald Trump demanded it. Kristi Noem and Holman ordered you to do it. Illegal deportations, mass raids, rounding up people who are here legally, arresting citizens, family separations, snatching students off the street for tweeting, detention without hearings, shipping them to foreign prisons, deportations defying court orders. When government agents like you abuse your power, when you trample civil and constitutional rights, you can be held personally liable in civil court. You can lose everything, and Trump can't pardon you. That includes ICE, that includes CBP, contractors, DOJ, even the White House. Yep, every last Trump official pulling the strings. Even, well, especially the lawyers. If you think you're safe behind badges and titles, you're wrong. You do a hard, dangerous job. You're vital to our security. But what they have you doing now isn't law enforcement. It's just lawless, and you'll pay the price for following illegal orders.
mix salt with these 2 ingredients if you don't want your hose to be rock hard tonight. Every time you see an older man with a young woman, you can bet he's using the salt trick. In fact, I've been left unable to walk for more than 4 days because of it. This talk about women only wanting money is just an excuse from guys who can't perform in bed. What women really care about is whether a man can heat things up in the bedroom and keep everything working. Having worked in the adult industry for many years, I discovered this after watching a video by Emily, a friend and former adult film star. In the video, Emily reveals that every man has a little hidden button on his body. When activated, it can make even 80-year-old men stand tall and be ready to handle any young woman for 2 straight hours. Dr. Jack Jordan scientifically proved this, and the method works so well that it makes your body stay rock solid whenever you want. All you need is the salt recipe in the morning with a bit of warm water. It takes less than 15 seconds. Fun fact, this recipe was banned for over 40 years because it threatened the sales of the famous little blue pill in pharmacies. After the video about salt featuring the ex-actress went viral, I can now share it here. Just click the link in the description or the pinned comment to access everything you need to make this recipe. Watch the video alone because it includes some very steamy practical demonstrations. Jack shows exactly how to do it and the results it delivers instantly. Everything you can imagine happens right in front of the cameras with nothing censored. So grab your headphones, click the link below, and get ready for content so hot it might even make you want to join in yourself.
He said it over and over for years.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
His biggest MAGA supporters said no cuts to Medicaid.
It is wrong to cut health care for the working poor.
There's a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong.
The effect of this bill is to break a promise.
Trump lied.
The Medicaid cuts could cause nearly 12 million people to lose their health insurance.
With this mega bill set to enact the largest cuts to Medicaid in decades, experts are warning that many struggling hospitals in rural communities could close their doors.
But they're not cutting it. They're looking at fraud, waste, and abuse.
He thinks you're stupid and he can fool you. He doesn't care about your health insurance. All he wanted was your vote. Donald Trump. It's just not working.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, people. I want to read stuff here from Daily Dose. There's a petition being pushed around to demand that Pam Bondi resign as Attorney General, which I added my name to. Trump lies to reporters and gets instantly fact-checked by Jerome Powell in painfully awkward exchange caught on camera. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell was forced to fact-check Donald Trump to his face in real time as the MAGA cult leader tried to artificially inflate the cost of an ongoing Fed Reserve headquarters renovation project by adding in the expenses of an entirely different building completed 5 years ago. Never mind the fact that the $400 million in question here is mere peanuts when compared to the trillions of dollars Trump's just passed budget will add to the nation's deficit. The president is simply looking for any pretext to fire Powell. Why? because Powell won't lower the central bank's interest rates to help boost Donald's short-term election prospects. The wannabe dictator can't come up with any credible reason to axe Powell, so all he's left with is simply making shit up. Alas, there's a catch. Powell is a numbers guy, and he called bullshit with the cameras rolling. Oops. Okay. New York Times unearths book Trump signed to Epstein, among other documents. Settle down, people. What's the big deal? So Donald called Epstein, quote, the greatest, unquote, and a, quote, terrific guy, unquote. Okay, so maybe he was Jeffrey's closest friend for more than a decade, too. And sure, he once fawned over the infamous pedophile in a 2002 interview with New York Magazine, stating, quote, he's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, unquote. And that whole 50th birthday card thing with the sketch of a naked woman and accompanying message, quote, a pal is a wonderful thing, happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret, unquote. It's just guys being guys, right? Nothing more than a little mischievous, quote, locker room talk, unquote. And from, quote, Mr. Grab him by the pussy, unquote, why is everyone so fixated on Epstein hoax anyway? What about her emails? Her emails, people. Yeah, that, you know, that birthday letter, who was it that read that? Was it Jon Stewart, I think, read parts of that on a show here a couple nights ago. It was, the way he did it was funny. It's like, you know, there was a lot to read between the lines, basically. You know, there's things that, you know, men, I would never see a man writing to another man and saying things, you know, the way he did. It just seemed very creepy, a very creepy birthday card, you know. But, oh, here's the thing. Trump administration greenlights Paramount's $8 billion merger with entertainment group Skydance. Oh, well, would you look at that? Weeks after CBS caved in a bogus 60 Minutes lawsuit that saw the network pay the MAGA cult leader $16 million, and days after outspoken Trump critic Stephen Colbert's ouster at The Late Show was announced, the Trump regime curiously gave its blessing to Paramount company Paramount's $8 billion mega merger with Skydance. Surely just a coincidence, and in no way a bright red flashing warning sign that the authoritarian con man is using the full might of the federal government to silence critics and stifle journalistic independence. Oh, God. Yeah. So, of course, once they kicked off Colbert, now Paramount's free to merge with Skydance, you know, Jesus, you know. And people were accusing me of spreading conspiracy theories or propaganda. People, all that information's public record. These mergers and stuff like that, they're not done in secret. You know? So me telling you what's going on and why it's happening, okay, and then this, you know, and verifying after the fact what's going on. Come on, if you can't connect the dots, then you shouldn't even be involved in the conversation, because come on, you know, any amateur fucking investigator could piece together what this was all about. Okay, any of them. Use your brain. It's not a hoax, said Speaker Mike Johnson bluntly breaks with Trump on Epstein files. In a momentary lapse of obstruction, House Speaker Mike Johnson told CBS News' chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett on Thursday that the outgoing controversy surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, quote, is not a hoax, unquote. A stark break from Donald Trump's latest rhetoric on the issue. Looks like someone didn't get the latest talking points memo from the White House. Stand by for a tail-tucked retraction in 3, 2, 1. Yep. House Republicans are claiming GOP leaders are conspiring to block Trump from making recess appointments. House Republicans and perpetual thorn in Trump's side, Thomas Massie, is stirring the pot again. Massie, whom Trump has promised to primary in next year's midterms for publicly opposing his awful budget, suggested on Thursday that Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune are conspiring to prevent the MAGA cult leader from making recess appointments as Congress enjoys its usual summer break. Massie tweeted, quote, "I see some people are excited at real Donald Trump can make recess appointments to fill out his staff now that Congress has recessed for August. Bad news, Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune plan to convene and adjourn every 4 or 5 days to block Trump from making those appointments." Unquote. Shots fired. Let's see here. We got this. Trump takes aim at college sports with a new executive order. Here we go again, see. Donald Trump has taken aim at college sports with a new executive order signed Thursday that seeks to empower federal agencies, including the Department of Education, which disperses funds to public universities to help enforce new provisions on athletic scholarships and, quote, pay for play, unquote, licensing deals for athletes. The order directs the nation's largest athletic departments to maintain certain numbers of scholarships for women's and Olympic sports, and it seeks to rein in the lucrative name, image, and likeness deals, known as NIL, that have dramatically transformed athlete compensation in recent years. Quote, "The future of college sports is under unprecedented threat," unquote, the order says. Quote, "A national solution is urgently needed to prevent this situation from deteriorating beyond repair and to prove non-revenue sports, including many women's sports, that compromise the backbone of intercollegiate athletics, drive American superiority at the Olympics and other international competitions, and catalyze hundreds of thousands of student athletes to fuel American success in myriad ways." You know, isn't there supposed to be an Olympics thing coming up here this year or whatever, at some point? Because people are, you know, I've been reading comments from people in, you know, in other countries that hey, we're not going to the Olympics. If it's being held in the United States or whatever, we ain't going. You know, there's a movement building to protest the United States by not going to the Olympics. Okay, so that's something there that, you know, that'll happen. And you know, and I think there was some talk that some of the athletes won't participate in the Olympics in the United States. You know, that's pretty shocking, I think. Because I don't think that's ever happened, you know, in my lifetime, where people who bust their ass to be able to go to the Olympics will sit there on principle and say, I ain't going because it's being held there. I'm not going there. Okay? Years of fucking practicing and training and all that, and they're going to flush it down the toilet. They probably won't be able to go back, try to go for Olympics again because they, you know, think about that. So, when people on MAGA are sitting here belly aching that, oh, Americans are, you know, or the Democrats are conspiring, you know, if we are, the conspiracy has to be on a global level in order for shit like this to happen. You see what I'm saying? It's like you're so paranoid about people opposing Trump that you're willing to say that there's a global conspiracy going on to derail Trump. You know, no, Trump's created this global action against him. Okay, what the hell did he do when he first got into office this year? He started bitching about Canada, right? I'm gonna make it the 51st state. And what did Canada say to that? Fuck you. Okay, elbows up. And we're not going to your country, we're not buying anything American, period. Because we don't like you. Are you going to say, oh, that was a conspiracy that they did that first and it was Trump later? No, you're twisting the facts. Trump opened his yap. Canada responded in kind. Okay, it's not a conspiracy. He created that problem. But there's people out there thinking this is all a big conspiracy for Canadians. The Democrats are keeping the Canadians from coming down here, and it's like, come on. You know, Jesus Christ. You people, you know, you shoot down anybody that, you know, that tries to connect the dots on the left, okay, about something one of your people does, okay? And you accuse it of being a conspiracy. But yet, you people will turn around and create conspiracies all day long, you know, and twice on Sunday about things that a Democrat does, and it doesn't make any sense, okay? AKA Alex Jones, okay? Oh, that Sandy Hook thing was all a fucking hoax, right? Yeah, dead bodies. I mean, you can't deny dead bodies, my friend. What did you think? That, you know, they all committed suicide or something? Okay? The nature of Republicans creating conspiracies is legion, and the fact is a lot of their conspiracies don't make sense. Okay? There's no dots to connect. They want you to skip all the dots in the middle to go from point A to point Z, okay? But they don't, you know what I'm saying? They have no dots to connect to get to that point. They just spit it out and they expect you to fucking take it. Okay? So if there's anybody out there propaganda heavy and stuff like that, it's not the left, it's the right. Even as I'm speaking now, even as I'm speaking right fucking now, they're already working up some kind of a bullshit story to protect Trump, you know, from any shit from Epstein. And the conspiracy theories are going crazy right now. They're trying to see what'll stick to the wall, and they're not doing a very good job of it because they never can. They might be good at making bumper sticker slogans, but when it comes to conspiracy theories, these people suck. They suck. They couldn't write a goddamn spy novel, for Christ's sake. I just, like I said, I feel like, you know, I'm like the only person in the world that's left that still has some kind of a bullshit filter left between his ears, okay? And that says a lot, okay? Because I wasn't always like so heavy into politics when I was younger, but when I got older and I started to have to live on my own in this world and things like that, I had to develop one pretty quick because I found out that most people would rather lie to your face than tell you the damn truth, okay? And so what happened? Now I have to re-examine everything people say. I have to read between the lines. I got to see patterns that lead to, you know, common things in order to understand, you know, this is not good, this is bad, this is okay. You might be able to trust that, you know what I'm saying? And for so many people in this country that didn't do that growing up and are at my age, that says you guys were out of touch with a lot of things. Maybe you grew up in a place where people were always honest to you and nothing was devious and everything was up front, you know, and good for you if that's what happened, you know. Maybe you never run into as many dishonest people. But hey, from leaving high school, military, living afterwards in different places, okay, in the course of my life, I've run across a lot of bullshitters, okay, and they will drop a lie on you as fast as anything, and they won't even bat an eyelash, okay. So when Trump is easy for me to recognize as a capital class bullshitter, okay. This guy probably never told the truth at all in his fucking life, okay, and he's involved in all kinds of skanky shit that went on during the 80s and 90s. They're hanging around with that son of a bitch Epstein, okay. So like I said, my bullshit filter is very, very healthy, okay. And if you people want to believe otherwise, fine, I don't care. I really don't care, because, you know, you're the one that's in danger, not me, because you're the one that's likely to fall into another pitfall, another trap, another bear trap, okay? From somebody who grifted you and got money out of you or got you to do something that was going to hurt you in the end. You're the one that's in danger. People like me are supposed to be there to help you, to save you from those pitfalls, to point out where the landmines are in life. Okay, but if you want to ignore that and you want to go ahead and step on that motherfucker, okay, you're an adult. You know, you're an adult, so you're responsible for your actions. Even if it's voting, you voted for a criminal, you got a criminal. Don't cry to the Democrats that, oh, you guys are just making, you know, no. Don't dodge the bullet. Own it. Own that motherfucker, because you did it. You made that choice, and now you're going to have to suffer the consequences along with everybody else, but you're going to have to suffer the result of that. Even those people that got deported, who voted for Trump, who thought Trump was on their side, they're paying for what they did. Okay? They're paying for what they did, as sad as that is, because they left families behind. All right? As sad as that is, they are paying the ultimate price for some, for having voted the wrong way. So don't tell me elections don't have consequences. Don't tell me that they're not important. Okay? Don't tell me that. It's not true. They do it. They are important, and that's the reason why we need to take them serious and to pick serious candidates, not clowns, not criminals. Serious candidates who know what they're talking about, who have an intelligence level greater than what Trump has. Okay? From now on, every leader, every person running for that office should be compared in character to that man, to know if they're like this guy, stay away from them. Okay? Use this guy as a fucking measuring stick for any future candidates. That's a good place to start for those of you that really can't, you know, figure a person out right off. Okay? Just take a look at them. But like I said, that's everybody. You're an adult. I mean, when you're old enough to vote, it's really your responsibility, not mine, to push you to do that responsibility. It's your responsibility. Okay? If you drink and drive and you get pulled over by a cop and you get a ticket, there's no sense crying about it. Okay? Because you know, now that you're an adult, you're not getting second chances. You fuck up once, you get punished for it. It's the way it is. You know, it's something your parents should have taught you growing up, that, hey, once you're 18 and you're out of the house or something and you screw up, we're not going to be there for you to smooth things over or to give you a second chance. So there's a lack of maturity in this country, you know, in bottom line, basically. Not saying everybody's immature, I'm just saying there's a lot of people that are. And I think a lot of them inhabit MAGA. A lot of immature people in that group, because look what they're willing to tolerate from this guy. They like him for reasons you wouldn't understand, and I surely wouldn't understand, because I see him for what he is. There's nothing to like about this guy. You know, certainly he's not respected by anybody that I know, even the people that claim, you know, because they're working with like Pam Bondi, you know, these people despise him in private. They don't want to be that close to this guy. You know. So anyway, like I said, that's kind of where things are, and so hopefully things will get better when people start, you know, coming together in numbers and pushing for justice. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, and maybe that's not going to happen until next year. Maybe this year, like I said, is going to be all about seeing the demise, you know, Trump destroying himself to the public and the public turning against him. And next year, it's going to be about pushing for impeachment. Okay, and we're going to spend all next year focused on that. And again, nothing else is going to get done, because Trump makes himself the fucking talking point of every fucking issue. Even when he was campaigning, he was the talking point for all the media. He does that, and he wants that. Attention is what he wants the most. So we're going to give him attention. Not the kind he wants, though. but he's going to get attention, all right. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great weekend. So subscribe, comment, and share, and keep your ears open for health issues, and be nice to your neighbors and help them out whenever they need help. Be a community. So I'll talk to you guys later. So take care, buddy.